and welcome to our final shop talk of Pulse 2016. My name's Calypso Rose and I'm director of the Inditute, and we curate talks and workshops all across London, and we've curated the last 3 days of Pulse. It is always inspiring to listen to a success story. Royal Albartross, starting as a small luxury footwear company specializing in golf shoes, it is now an influential online brand and is sold by leading golf retailers across the world, from Wentworth to Sandy Lane. Alex Bartholomew is the founder and designer, and this is her story, growing your business online. Thank you, Alex.
Are we on? Good afternoon. Hello, Olympia. Hi, I'm Kevin Reinhardt. I'm from the SAP Anywhere team. I look after product strategy. It's my pleasure and delight to be able to talk to Alex Bartholomew, the managing director of Royal Albartross. So, Alex, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming to listen to us.
So, I think to start off for the people here, what would be good is to understand a little bit about the journey Royal Albartross has taken, you know, where you've come from, where you kind of are at as a business now. So if you, just a few words on that would be great.
Absolutely. I started always in footwear and accessories and decided that I wanted to work for myself. And what had happened was I had designed a brogue golf shoe at university, and somebody said, oh, I think that would really work. It's a great idea. And having worked for a number of high street retailers and some of the luxury brands, I decided to have a few samples made in Italy. So I was based in Florence working for Burberry, and I met a shoemaker and I had him make a couple of pairs. And basically the story went from there. I then was fortunate enough to win the Footwear Friends Charity Manager Designer of the Year award. I think that was in 2007. And we went, basically that allowed me the money to start my website. So it really was very, very organic, very small to start off with, and a very personal journey, really, because nobody else was involved. It was solely my, journey and mission. So it was not easy at all, because I was basically creating a very luxurious golf shoe in a market where they were used to spending very little on their shoes. Because golf is all about a macho game and how far your ball can go, they don't look at shoes as anything that's going to assist with that. They'd rather spend more on a driver that they would use in their round maybe 3 times, hitting the ball, and walk around in really cheap shoes. So it was about a re-education, about showing them, if you've got that amazing time on the golf course without your wife or girlfriend or son or husband or whoever it may be, and you are walking down these beautiful greens and your phone's off, why would you not want to spend money on your shoes, for that specific, gorgeous, perfect amount of time? So we ended up getting into a few retailers, and it slowly grew from there. But the initial thing that started off was my website, and I was selling shoes on the website. And I was lucky to get some PR based on the prize I'd won. So purely through being a prize winner, it was directing traffic to my site.
So you've got this very, so you've got a unique kind of proposition around how shoe wear fits in with golfers and what it could mean to them. You've got some publicity by virtue of the fact of prize winning an online presence. So in terms of this idea of growing your brand online, what's your thoughts at? What are you kind of looking at? Is what would social mean to you, given that you're predominantly a B2B business?
Yeah.
But obviously appealing to consumers is something that could help with getting you business with people you're trying to sell into. So social's a very, very big thing. What kind of channels works for you? What kind of strategies work for you? What's your general thoughts on that?
Well, initially, when you have a website built, you are naive enough to think that everybody is going to find your website. And it's the equivalent of having a small house in a small village somewhere in England and hoping somebody drives by that is your target market. And it just does not happen. And so there has to be effort put in all the time through as many channels as possible to get people to your site, get them to your shop. And the way that I've found that most useful is bloggers. They have had a far more wide-reaching effect for me by saying, we love these shoes, this is what we'd give them out of 5, this is why we love them, this is how they fit, this is how they compete, were a competitor against all the other brands. Because I found with things like lifestyle press, it worked better for us having lifestyle press than golf-specific press. So you sometimes have to think outside the box. If you saw a pair of my, yes, pricey, limited, leather-soled, Italian handmade golf shoes next to a pair of Nike shoes that were half the price and waterproof, a golfer would be like, well, why would we spend more on those? But if you saw them next to, say, a Dunhill wash bag and some Mont Blanc cufflinks in some lifestyle press, someone would say, well, that's a no-brainer, I have to have those. So you have to be very clever about the person that is your target market and where they go in order to find out about cool things and what they want to buy. I mean, you know, when it comes to social, that's a whole monster in itself. You know, and sometimes it's rather overwhelming when you don't know social, you don't know where to start, what to do, how to target people, and how to grow your online business. But it literally is, I believe, like a little wall, and you just have to keep tapping, and you literally have to post every single day, because there's no point in posting every 3 days or every 5 days, because you're missing out on all those people in between. And you also have to make sure it's a consistent message. Make sure your branding on your Instagram is the same as something that's on your Facebook. So you're sending one message about your branding. So for instance, now we've only just started to target or to pay more attention to our Instagram to grow it. And we had a whole lot of branding specialists come in, but they were saying, if you're posting something about, say, for instance, a lady's shoe, make sure that the branding is consistent for ladies. So every time something comes up about ladies, it looks more feminine. And then something that's masculine, make sure the branding for that is something totally different, but that it's all along the same message. So you're constantly you're being constant in your message to your audiences. Another way to grow it, obviously there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest. I mean, a lot of these people around here are creative, so they need the visual tools that talk far more than something that's long and wordy. And I also think mix it up a bit. You know, when I'm on Instagram, I don't want to see 15 pictures of pairs of shoes. It's boring. If it's a Friday, I want to see something saying, have a fabulous Friday, or a cool quote. You know, think outside the box about something creative that might still have your brand message, but isn't necessarily your product. I mean, the one thing about SAP Anywhere, because I've been fortunate enough that we are going to be an early adopter of the SAP Anywhere program, and as a business owner, it's given me a full view of my entire business in one go. So it is a dashboard, and I can see everything from my agents in America, what appointments they've got, who they've targeted to see, what stock they've sold, what's been delivered, what commission they're owed. And that's just the agents. I can also see how my social media is being received. Is it positive or negative? How are my accounts looking? How's my stock looking? And so with that, it also gives you a really, really good an overview of your social media.
Cool. So you've got social media where you're on. So you know you're looking at very much the visual mediums for social media, which I think is something that resonates with a lot of people here. Would you say the social media is more aimed at consumers, or is there anything for a B2B business, which I'm sure a lot of people here are? Where does that sit between social media at the businesses you're trying to sell to, which are other businesses, golf clubs, as opposed to social media to their customers, consumers, end consumers, which you don't sell directly to? Where's your thoughts on that?
Well, we would sell directly to consumers, to golf consumers online. Then we would sell to golf clubs, which is completely different. It wouldn't be online, obviously. But a lot of the time, one drives the other. So if you've got a customer that buys a pair of shoes and he's wearing them at his club, and someone else is commenting on them, and then perhaps he goes to the buyer and says, why don't you have these in stock? Then that absolutely drives your B2B business. And I've opened several accounts like that. So I think it's important to target the customer and to make sure they're well looked after and they like the brand, because that will then, it definitely spreads. I mean, if I get a crazy customer in Texas who buys a pair of shoes, in the next 2 weeks I see another customer in Texas has bought a pair and another customer in Texas has bought a pair. And so don't undervalue the word of mouth, which is exactly what I was saying about social media with bloggers. because that's a recommendation about your business. It's not you shouting about it, it's somebody else shouting about it. And that is far more valuable than you shouting about it yourself. People believe, you know, if someone's trying to sell you something on the street, you're like, yeah, whatever. And if one of your friends said, I bought this thing, it's amazing, or yeah, they're really good, you should get one, you would buy it. It's all about what your friends are saying and what other people, peers are saying, people in the industry and specialists, rather than the brands themselves.
So, so there's ways in which you can drive B2B business as well as B2C direct consumer businesses. Tell us a little bit about where your growth has kind of been in terms of, so you started, what, 2007, was it?
Yeah, roundabout, yeah.
Around about 2007.
Yeah.
You've come through the journey of starting to have an online presence and then work on that as a way of growing your brand.
Yeah.
What were the stages in which your growth of, like, you know, how much you were doing in terms of turnover from beginning, and how's that growth pattern worked with your advent of going into online and then moving into social? How's that helped grow a business? What's been your journey on that?
So in the beginning, it was a really, really slow trickle. I mean, a lot of it was product as well. I was doing only these leather-soled golf shoes, and they were very, very niche. They're also slightly weightier, and they're not always seen as waterproof. So I felt like I was beating a drum that nobody else was getting. And the real turning point in my business came when I decided to do the sneaker-type golf shoes that everybody else was doing. And it was a real, you know, it was a massive learning lesson that if you are continuing down this mission and it's not quite working, you need to change. You need to, you know, change your business plan or do something. Don't sit there stubborn until you run yourself into the ground. So if people are giving you loads of advice, try it. And that's what they were saying. Oh, why don't you do sneaker type? And I was like, well, because we're handmade in Italy with leather soled, you know, with leather soles. Why would we ever do sneakers? But in fact, this is exactly what the market was looking for, and that was a luxurious sneaker that was good for golf and was also beautifully made. And so that's where we started going, and we also did that for ladies as well. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Sorry, I've forgotten the question now.
So it was more about
where I was going with
where you were going
sales.
and how's the brand growth given online and social.
So obviously that doubled and then doubled again each year on. And I brought out new styles. So that was fantastic. But when it came to turnover and to making a profit, I've believed, because I've set up a brand from scratch, there was nothing like this before, that it's taken me a good almost 10 years to really have a firm footing in the industry. And I don't believe that that is the case when you offer a service. But I think if you're starting a brand from absolute scratch, and it's something quite difficult and technical like these shoes, it's taken me that long. I wasn't always doing it full time. I had a lot of other in-between jobs that allowed me to still have enough money to continue. And it hasn't been easy. I mean, as a woman in footwear, it's not easy. You know, I'm working with very sexist factories. The travel is insane. The amount of money you lay out for stock is just crazy. My husband was kind enough that he was always sitting in a horrible finance job, and I was doing what I loved, but I wasn't making us any money. And before you know it, your whole marriage, your whole life is in this box, you know? It's just insane. So, I mean, when it comes to social supporting that, there's an absolute link. I mean, if you put a special, for instance, on Instagram, or you send out a webmail, for instance, to your customers, I have a massive return of sales. They really do come back. There's about a 40% return rate on if I send out a webmail to my customers. And the thing is, you need to be collecting data, and you need to be nurturing those relationships. I mean, I'm a massive, massive fan of really good customer service. I think in this day and age, there are so few people that do it well. And it's so nice to still have a phone, you know, a person on the end of the phone that you can pick up and say, I'm not happy with this, what do I do? And on my website, I've written, you know, I've got terms and conditions. That is legally what we would be, you know, held to. But if you're not happy, we'll keep going and keep exchanging and keep refunding until you are happy. So, and I think once you give people that confidence, then they are going to order online and they are going to tell their friends, you know. So, I mean, when it comes to turnover, it's not massive. I'm still a small company in the footwear industry. We're now doing accessories, but I should hope to turn over about 550,000 this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, what I'd like to now look into the kind of the crystal ball in the future, and some aspects of where the online world and growing your brand can possibly take somewhere like Royal Albatross. So, a couple of things that seem to be quite interesting to people out there is how maybe social can turn people from what was a product-centric type company of I merchandise, I make the product, and then it's down to marketing and advertising to push that product onto people. And now with the advent of social and everything, it's more about how do we turn companies more from a product-centric into a consumer-centric customer. So the product is shaped by what people are after and what they're looking for. So that's one thing that's quite interesting about it. But also in terms of going global, the reach you have at the moment, how it might expand you into new territories, how might online and social help you there?
Well, the first thing with any kind of expansion is that you need to be armed with the facts and the figures and the information to do so, to make the right choices. And so I'm looking forward, because I'm at the point now where I've had investment in my company last year, my production's got bigger, and I'm now heading into a zone where I need a lot more people and a lot more resource. And basically, I think the whole way of social and it becoming more consumer-driven is that you need to show them the journey. Everybody likes to see where your brand has come from and who you are and give it a real personality. So that's what we've focused on a lot. It's not only product-based, it's, it might be me with loads of shoes in my suitcase on Instagram. It might be, a cheeky tweet about the security guard at the airport and what he thought about all the luggage that I had. You've got to really show your personality in this personal journey, because that's what I think a lot of the time that's what's going to grow the brand. Especially people like all of us here, where you're quite product focused. I think consumers really that appeals to them, and we are less focused on product ourselves. We're all about what would the consumer want. Do they want a lovely box? Do they want a comfortable shoe? Do they need a shoe bag? It's all about what they need. That's what guides the product. That's what makes you a successful business, is you're giving your consumer what they want.
Cool. And with regards to maybe international expansion, just give us a little idea of which territories you operate in at the moment, and where possible expansion might be, and how territories you're not in at the moment that you might want to work in, and how social and online may help you get into those regions.
Well, I know, for instance, that with SAP, we are a company that are designed in Britain, we're made in Italy, and we're sold mostly in the US and globally, but mostly in the US. About 70% of my business is in the US. I'd say about 10% is in the UK. And we would like to look to going to the Far East, for instance. And I know SAP Anywhere has got massive contacts in the Far East, which will enable us to do that. But we couldn't really go into the Far East yet because it's all about fit. So once again, it's about your product and your consumer. We needed them to be slightly wider, and we needed obviously smaller sizes, which is what we weren't doing for men, for instance, or for ladies. So yeah, that's a territory we'd really like to get into. I think the Middle East is a target, and at the moment we're in Australia, France, Switzerland, the UK, most of America, Hawaii, Caribbean. Yeah, that's round about it. We've got a massive following in Papua New Guinea. I don't know why, but it's totally random. And it's through the bloggers internationally. And when they speak, people all over the world listen. As long as you're a golfer, it doesn't matter where the blogger's coming from. Yeah, it's really good. Drives your business.
Cool. Right. Thank you for taking the time out to speak to us. Any final thoughts or one little takeaway for all the guys here? What would be your summing up quote?
Yeah, it is really difficult. I don't have a summing up quote, but I do think that if it's good enough for you and you're passionate about it, don't give up. Don't give up. It's, I can't tell you how hard this journey has been, and I can't tell you how close to divorce I've come and close to bankruptcy, but you will get there in the end. Don't give up. And the fact that you've even started, you're halfway there, And I think there's so much room in this world for less consumerism and, less fast fashion, I would say. Not less consumerism, because we don't want anyone to stop buying anything. But with me, it's about the story, where it came from, the consciousness that it was made with, and for you to keep it a little bit longer and treasure it and spend a bit more on it. Because I don't want things filling up landfill every 5 minutes. I think that I'm supporting a craft in Italy that I'm really passionate about, and I've kept tapping on that door trying to educate golfers, and we've got through, yeah. The other thing is, of course I'm going to promote SAP Anywhere, but as a small business owner, I'm not the most businessy of people. I'm far more of a creative, and it's sometimes really hard to keep your finger on the pulse of everything from the finances to the social media, the marketing, the stock. And I think SAP Anyway is just so amazing because it does give you that overall view. I'd highly recommend it. And these guys have been so supportive of my business and of the brand, so it's been great. I'm really lucky. Thank you.
Alex, thank you very much for taking the time out to speak to us.
You.
If you want to come and see Alex, wonderful shoes and belts, she's at the front here. If any of you are interested about SAP Anywhere, we've got some people standing at the back.
And have we any questions?
Oh.
Yes.
Hi, thank you very much for sharing your life story and the business journey. It's really inspiring. And my question is about the social media. At the moment, we can't emphasize enough how important it is, but it's all about conversion rate, right? Like, have you ever tracked how many percent like sales directly from your social media? And another of my question is, like, if you are new to the business, how do you find your ideal bloggers, and how much you pay them normally? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. With regards to tracking conversion rates, I should absolutely be better about that. The thing is, I've had quite a dated website up until now, and one that I've really wanted to change for ages, but it's been something that was such a huge outlay of money, it got put on the back burner. So now, with the help of SAP Anywhere, we decided ages ago that we wanted to do a new website, and we were looking around for people to do it. And when I looked into SAP Anywhere, it seemed like the best option for both. We're getting a website and a dashboard, which is amazing. So we're currently going through that whole process. So when it comes to, conversion rates and things, that's going to end up being very, very important in the development of this new site, and that will literally happen in the next couple of weeks. I mean, I think that's something that's really important. It tells you facts that are not gut feel, and sometimes gut feel is not always right. I always say to, the girls in the office that I might have had 3 calls about navy blue shoes. And I think, oh my God, we've got to order more navy blue shoes. They're so popular. But another 3 girls around in the office might have had calls about green shoes and yellow shoes. So your gut feel is not always correct, and the facts and figures speak for themselves. So it's something you definitely need to do. I'd advise it. You were saying, ask me the other question again. I've got
bloggers.
Bloggers.
How do you, when you're new to the business, how do you find the good ones?
The way we found the best bloggers is we attended a trade show similar to this. And a lot of them are walking around. They're looking for cool things to talk about, and they are product-focused people. So for us, we gave them a pair of shoes. Now, the value of these shoes is high. Would I necessarily pay him that to write a story? I'm not sure. But I felt that unless he had them on his feet, unless he had that experience, he couldn't talk from his heart. And there were several really lucky breaks. I had one, blogger contact me and say they were doing the best shoes 2004. Could I send a pair of leather soles and soft soles? And I was just rolling my eyes going, not another pair of free shoes. We're probably not going to get anything back for this. And before I knew it, we'd won both categories. It went mental. The website went mental. And people Google best golf shoes, and that comes up in 2014. So a little bit of luck, a little bit of hard work, a little bit of being in the right place at the right time, and keep your eyes open. Read the magazines, find out where the bloggers are, Google them. It's also their job to be found, What else? Anybody else?
Other questions? Well, I think you're going to be here for the next 5-10 minutes. If anyone is too shy to say anything now and wants to have a little chat to Alex afterwards, please do go over, and also go and visit the SAP stand over there and continue the conversation on Twitter, #ShopTalk. Thank you very much for coming to Shop Talk this year.